After the death of Michael Meyers in Halloween 2, John Carpenter thought he was done telling the terrifying story of the masked shape. So he shifted his ambitions of the Halloween franchise to try and make it a yearly horror movie anthology. He wanted to mess with the genre and create unique stories and monsters, with the only real commonality being that these events would all take place on Halloween night. So in 1982, we were given Halloween 3, the Season of the Witch. Initially, the reception for this movie was beyond negative. Having a movie called Halloween without that unkillable killer turned audiences away and led to a box office flop. And then you know the rest. The Halloween franchise went to create a bazillion movies where Michael Myers constantly dies only to come back again over and over. But here's the thing. Halloween 3 is great. It's so weird and filled with cool ideas. The story is silly but scary. The effects are a Carpenter classic. The villain is so evil and fun and gives us a mesmerizing performance. And so that's what I want to watch with you all today. The weirdest and one of the best Halloween movies that there is, The Season of the Witch. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like and subscribe. The movie opens up with immediate mystery as a man is running in the middle of the night from two silent and suited men. It's proven just how strange these men are when one is crushed between two cars, yet he doesn't scream in pain or make any noise whatsoever. Another weird thing that we're shown is a newscast of Stonehenge. Somehow, one of the giant rocks that made the formation has gone missing. It's speculated that it was stolen because a 5-ton slab of rock doesn't just get up and walk away, yet how anyone would steal a 5-ton slab of rock is also completely up to conspiracy-like speculations. We then see a gas station attendant as he's watching some late-night TV, and we're shown possibly the most horrifying thing in any scary movie ever. An incredibly catchy jingle.
8 more days to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 8 more days to Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
You see, it's scary because now it's going to be stuck in your head. And I'm going to play it even more in this video because a little torture is good for all of us. The running man from earlier sprints into the gas station and begs for help while clutching a silver shamrock mask from that same catchy commercial that we just saw. He's then presumably taken to the hospital, and we meet our main character, Dr. Daniel Chalice. He has 2 kids and an ex-wife that absolutely despises him.
Drinking and doctoring, great combination.
She has recently bought the kids some of those silver shamrock masks, so we get to hear another, even more spooky version of the jingle.
8 more days to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
So, how you been?
And then, like 10 seconds later, the commercial plays again on TV. It's just really trying to drill this jingle into your head right off the bat. Chalice is called into the hospital to attend to that running man from before, and the commercial plays again in the hospital, which causes the man to start freaking out and mumbling that people are trying to kill them all. And he's right, because a few hours later, a suited man sneaks into the hospital and kills the man in possibly the strangest way that I've ever seen. I've never seen anyone get killed by having the bridge of their nose pulled out. It looks incredibly painful, but it does also give us a fun sample of those Carpenter staple practical effects, and we'll be seeing a lot more of those later on in the movie. The suited man does get spotted by the nurse, so Chalice is woken up and he runs after him only to watch as he gets into his car, pours gasoline over his head, and lights a match. It's kind of funny because Halloween 2 ends with a big hospital explosion too. I guess this is just what John Carpenter was into at the time. The next morning, the dead man's daughter, Ellie, comes to identify the body. Not a lot else happens, but we do see Dr. Chalice's curiosity growing as he picks up the mask and wonders what it has to do with a murder. And now there's also a pretty girl attached to this little mystery, so he's even more engrossed. A few days later, we see a familiar face for a few seconds, and this is the only cameo from Michael Myers in the entire movie. But don't worry, because right after that cameo, we get another little rendition of the Silver Shamrock jingle.
Come on.
What's the matter? Don't you have any Halloween spirit?
No.
I just love that Dr. Chalice is also so sick of this jingle already. It's such a self-aware movie about how torturous this song is going to be for everyone involved. Ellie meets with Chalice asking if her father said anything before he died, and Chalice confides in her that he was mumbling about the masks and about how someone was trying to kill him, and it seems that Ellie shares in his suspicion. They come to the conclusion that whatever's going on definitely has something to do with the masks, so they decide to hit the old dusty trail and head to the small town where the masks are made. But, of course, as they're leaving, we've got to hear that jingle another time. The mask town is really small. Everyone there works for the toy company and just stare as the outsiders drive towards their motel. And we don't meet him yet, but the owner of the toy company is a man named Cochran, and the few townsfolk that we meet talk about him with a very strange reverence.
A great man, Colonel Cochran. A true genius.
We also meet a few other folks from out of town, and it's just funny because on the short walk between the office and his motel room, Chalice almost gets hit twice in the parking lot. But his night is far from ruined because Ellie puts the moves on him and they share in a smooch. At 6 o'clock, a speaker system tells the town that it's curfew time.
It's 6 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock. Curfew.
And the only reason that I'm bringing this up is because this is Jamie Lee Curtis's voice, so that's kinda neat. On his way back from picking up a bottle of booze, Chalice runs into a homeless man, and he has nothing good to say about Cochran or the toy company.
All I can tell you, mister, is watch out. Seen the TV cameras yet? He's watching you, friend, I guarantee you that.
He and Chalice part ways, but it seems that Cochran was listening into their conversation, because when the homeless man gets to his junkyard home, two suited men pop out of the shadows and kill him by pulling his head right off of his body. But that doesn't end the weirdness of the night, because back in the motel, one of the out-of-towners has a faulty mask. The Silver Shamrock logo has fallen off, so she's looking for a refund, but she notices for the first time that the logo has some strange computer-like chip on the back. So she pokes at it, only to have a laser shoot from the logo and into her face. Her mouth explodes outward and an insect crawls from where she was shot. So the masks are definitely not what they seem. The next day, Chalice and Ellie head to the toy factory to see if they have any information on Ellie's father. It turns out that he did stop by a few days ago, but he left with an order of masks and there's nothing else of note that they can remember. But on their way out, Mr. Cochran makes an appearance and he offers them a tour of the entire factory. He's also incredibly charming.
About the confusion over your order, I just tell you one thing. A replacement order is being prepared for you absolutely free. The whole thing's on me.
Everything seems fine with the tour, but no one is allowed in the final processing area, which Chalice finds suspicious.
Part of the inspection process involves volatile chemicals, very dangerous. I wouldn't want to put anybody in any danger.
On their way out of the factory, Chalice spots some more suited men. Ellie also notices her father's car in one of the warehouses, but she's stopped by the suited men before she can investigate further. They try calling the police, but none of their calls are able to go through. But it's not all bad, because we do get another quick listen of that jingle. Chalice leaves the room for a moment, but when he gets back, Ellie is missing and a group of suited men begin to chase him through the town. He ends up back at the toy factory and finds a way inside through an open window. Now, as strange as things have been so far, this is where the weirdness is turned up to wumbo. Chalice finds a room with a knitting woman sitting inside, and he asks her where Ellie is, but when he ends up shaking her for more information, the woman's head falls off and reveals that she's completely mechanical, just a human-like toy, and nothing else. He's then grabbed by a suited man, and as they fight, the man has almost no reaction to Chalice's punches. He continues to try and grab Chalice's head, and out of desperation, Chalice sinks his fist into the man's belly, and is shocked when the man falls and a yellow goop comes from his mouth. Chalice pulls his hand out, now covered in that same yellow goop, and clutching a cluster of wires. And this puts Chalice into a state of pure shock. Two more suited men come out of the shadows and grab Chalice, but he puts up no fight whatsoever, and Cochran meets with him and begins to monologue.
It'll be morning soon. Halloween morning. Be a very busy day for me.
Now, our protagonist is in the clutches of the evil toymaker, and as the sun rises, it's officially Halloween Day, and whatever Cochran has planned is only hours away from beginning. Cochran brings Chalice deep into the facility, ranting about ancient technology and how it's been developing through his toy making. And as we pan through his underground lab, we see a giant slab of stone.
An ancient sacrificial circle. Stonehenge.
That's right. It was Cochran who stole the rock from Stonehenge. That small news clip from the intro was leading us to this very moment in a toy factory that makes masks. It turns out that Cochran has found a way to activate and weaponize the ancient magics of Stonehenge, and we see how he plans to use it when he demonstrates it on one of the outsider families.
All right, roll it.
They play that commercial that we've been hearing throughout this entire movie, only this time it's the version that will play around the world in only a few hours.
It's time! It's time!
The commercial instructs the kid to put on his mask, but when he does, the song and flashing lights activate the piece of Stonehenge in the mask and begins to melt the kid's head, causing him to fall to the ground as a swarm of bugs and snakes slither from his open mouth. You might have thought this was just going to be a silly little mystery movie about masks and Stonehenge. Wrong. It's a full-on plot to eradicate children by an evil toy maker. Man, I love this movie. We see a compilation of scenes of children all trick-or-treating in their silver shamrock masks, all being told that there's a great big giveaway at 9 p.m. Vans roll through the streets reminding kids to wear their masks for that giveaway and not to be late. All this while that silly little jingle is playing in the background, the happy tune making the true horror of what is about to happen really stand out to us. Also, there's this scene, and it just kind of looks like the Fellowship all traveling around, so I thought that was cool. It's 7:30 p.m., 90 minutes until the commercial will air, and Chalice is all tied up and waiting for his end. He asks Cochran why he's doing this, and the toy maker reveals his motivation.
Why, Cochran? Why? Do I need a reason? I do love a good joke, and this is the best ever. A joke on the children.
At first, he doesn't really seem to have a reason, but then he says that he was around for the last great Halloween 3,000 years ago. He says that the original purpose of Halloween was to make sacrifices to fuel ancient magics and witchcraft. But the sacrifices stopped long ago as the planets fell out of alignment. But now the planets are finally realigned, and the time of magic, or the season of the witch, is once again at hand. He leaves Chalice with a mask on his head to watch Halloween, but he doesn't like the movie, so he kicks through the TV. He's able to use some glass from that TV to free himself, and then he climbs through the ventilation shafts to escape. On his way, he stops to free Ellie, and together they sneak through the lab in a way that would absolutely make Scooby-Doo proud. Chalice sees an opportunity to end Cochran once and for all. He sneaks to a control panel and plays the commercial for everyone in the lab. Then he climbs up to the rafters and drops a box full of logos onto everyone's heads. And the commercial causes them to activate and zap all of the suited men below. Then the chunk of Stonehenge begins to activate as well, completing some kind of ritual circle. And I love how Cochran reacts here. He just stares up at Chalice, knowing that he's about to be destroyed, and he claps. Then Stonehenge shoots out a beam at Cochran and transforms him into some crystalline creature before annihilating him completely, and once and for all, the toy maker disappears. Ellie and Chalice steal a car and head out of town, but the commercial is still scheduled to air, so they've got to find a way to stop it. While trying to come up with any ideas, Chalice notices that Ellie is strangely quiet, and when he asks her why, she stares at him with a blank expression and grabs at his face, causing the car to careen off of the road and crash. Ellie has been replaced by a toy, so Chalice has no problem taking a tire iron and bashing her head off. Chalice then runs back to the road and he finds that same gas station that we saw in the intro. He rushes to the man's phone and calls the TV station and begs them to take the commercial off of the air. And it works, but only for one station. He keeps trying to call and begging stations to take the commercial down, and as he stares directly into the camera and screams, the movie ends.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
I love weird movies with strange premises, and Halloween 3 fits that criteria perfectly. The fact alone that Stonehenge was a legitimate plot point for killing an entire generation of children takes the story to such a fun and wacky place, only to be met by robotic henchmen and a killer toy maker. It's wonderful. I've recently watched all of the Halloween movies, and I really like Michael Meyers, but imagining a world where every year a new Halloween movie comes out, but is able to go beyond the horror genre, to give us bizarre stories with weird creatures and villains, makes me so envious of things that will never be. But at least we got this one. This small gem surrounded by slashers in a time when wacky wasn't very appreciated. And that's the end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course a huge thanks to my YouTube members for the extra support. If I were an evil toy maker using masks to kill millions around the world, I'd make sure that my members got the coolest looking masks, because that's how much I love my YouTube members. Thanks again for watching, guys, and happy Halloween. Bye-bye.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock.
It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Be in front of your TV sets for the horror-thon. And remember, don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.